EO number 2 from my nutrition classes. This is vitamins number 2. We will start with the fat soluble vitamins. Where do you find fat soluble vitamins? Well, generally in the fatty parts of our food. Now, I don't have any animal tissue up here on the board, but if we were looking at organ fat like liver fat or kidney fat or spleen fat. I know that's kind of gross, but you would definitely find some vitamin A and vitamin D in there, I'm sure. Generally, though, oils are a very good source for your fat soluble vitamins. Some fruits and vegetables in that, there's not a lot, but we're talking vitamin A and not actually vitamin A retinol, but the version that's in the plants called beta carotene. Dairy has vitamin A and D. So all cow dairy is fortified with D, and if you drink skim milk or low fat milk, they actually add vitamin A because when you remove the fat, you remove the A. And then nuts and seeds are fantastic, and so, of course, whole grain cereals, especially whole grain cereals that have seeds and nuts and things and flax and things like that added to them. So vitamin A is an interesting vitamin. It's found in definitely animal tissue, dairy. You can find it in liver. It's a phenomenal source in liver. But it's also found in plants, and the plant version is called beta carotene. Beta carotene is actually a bigger molecule than vitamin A, and so you end up needing more beta carotene to have the equivalent of vitamin of the animal version of vitamin A. But since humans eat plenty of animal tissue, plant tissue, the amount of beta carotene you can get from the plants that you eat is fine. If the plant you're eating, the fruit, the vegetable, whatever, looks like somebody used a crayon to color it, seriously, used a crayon to color it, odds are it's got beta carotene. Now, beta carotene is orangey, but that doesn't mean that green things and red things and purple things like eggplant don't have other pigments. You just don't see them. Beta carotene's a pigment. So it's pretty spread out in all the really colorful, dark, rich, crayon-colored plants that we eat, fruits and vegetables. The major functions are that you need vitamin A during fetal development. You need it when you're young and you're growing. You need it for immunity. In the earliest stages of pregnancy, when cells are literally being told you're a kidney cell, you're a liver cell, you're going to be an eyeball cell in the fetus. That all involves vitamin A. There's a reason why people should not take vitamin A supplements during pregnancy. Too much can actually be very dangerous, and in fact, even vitamin A related acne medications like Accutane are really not recommended and prohibited during pregnancy. It can cause birth defects flat out. So vitamin A is a very powerful vitamin. What most of us know it for, though, is vision. It is important for the structure of the eye, the way the signal of light goes from our eyeball to our brain, and the most common deficiency of vitamin A deficiency. The most common symptom of vitamin A deficiency is night blindness, the inability to see at night. So here's all your great sources. There's my liver. There's your sweet potato. Carrots are orange. Pumpkin is orange. Lettuce isn't orange. Mustard greens aren't orange. Spinach is not orange. There's other pigments there. Beta carotene, the plant version of vitamin A, is one of them. Let's see. Deficiency. Where is my? I don't have it up here. So definitely the biggest thing is night blindness. If your vitamin A deficiency is really bad at birth, it actually can affect the eye and the structure of the eye, and that can cause permanent blindness. Many kids on Earth still develop permanent blindness due to vitamin A deficiency at birth. And then toxicity of vitamin A is usually through eating too much liver or supplements. We know if you eat too many leafy greens, I shouldn't say leafy greens, especially carrots, but any foods that have a ton of beta carotene in them, the plant version, will in fact pigmentize your body in beta carotene. Even if you have darker skin tone, the whites of your eyes, like the under your fingernails, parts of your body that are not affected by melanin will also be pigmentized by beta carotene. That said, beta carotenosis, it's not dangerous. It's not dangerous. It's the animal version that is, and we really don't like it in extreme during pregnancy. So that's vitamin A. One other thing about vitamin A before I move on, it's also a hormone. So like estrogen and testosterone, it can regulate cell processes. And then vitamin D, where's D? Here we go. Where's my, Moving around here. So vitamin D is also a hormone, but and so we'll leave it at that. But what is its major function? Vitamin D's function is to maintain blood calcium. We haven't covered calcium, but calcium is extremely important for your nerve conduction. So from the brain to the fingertips, all those nerve signals, and your muscular contraction and relaxation. So every time you use a nerve in a muscle, you're using calcium. You do not want too much in the blood. You do not want too little. So vitamin D's job is to maintain blood calcium. It will increase absorption. That's good. It will decrease urinary excretion, so you'll pee out less calcium. But if you're not eating it, it will actually activate removal from the bones. So vitamin D is important for bone health, when you eat calcium. If you don't, it can be your enemy. Okay. So one of the ways that we can make vitamin D, by the way, is via adequate sunlight. Not everybody gets adequate sunlight. We know back in the turn of the century, around 1900, 1901, 1890, 1910, during the industrial age, when kids were being sent off to factories in the dark, working all day, coming home in the dark, kids were developing what we call rickets. And this is a picture here of a child who has rickets. And it's improper development of your musculature, your bones, and things like that. That's due to inadequate vitamin D production because they weren't getting it from diet. So that's rickets. That's in kids. In adults, we call it osteomalacia. It's not the same as osteoporosis. Osteomalacia is more structural in terms of the structure of the bones, where osteoporosis is more of just a calcium issue. We don't see frank deficiency in kids anymore because it is added to lots of things. But older adults can still get osteomalacia, especially if they're not eating vitamin D and they're not going outside because they have skin concerns about for skin cancer, right? They're wearing sunblock or they just don't get a lot of sun exposure. If you live in the northern climes, what do? We give you a little bit of UV, get in front of the lamp. Otherwise, in the U.S., we fortify milk with vitamin D, which I've said is getting kind of weird because a lot of our population in the U.S., we're lactose intolerant. So we should be fortifying Starbucks boba. Starbucks drinks and boba with vitamin D. No, seriously, we should be. There's your cod liver oil. It's a great source. There's your tuna. There's your salmon. I don't have any plants up here, but fortified orange juice. A lot of cereals have vitamin D added to them. And some leafy greens like kale and spinach have some vitamin D in the background. And then if you get too much, if you get too much vitamin D from supplements, you can't affect your bone density. That's number one. Number two, if calcium is too high in the blood, you'll start to stick it in places you shouldn't. And not like back in the bone, but in the joints, in tendons, in your hands. So that's called, the disorder is hypercalcemia, which is too much calcium in the blood. But then you end up getting a deposition of calcium in soft tissues. So, vitamin D, if you're going to take a supplement, you could take it from a Centrum or something like that. But as someone who does see a doctor, not a PhD, but an MD, it is nice to have it measured periodically, especially if you don't get a lot of sunlight. Or, like me, you do get a lot of sunlight, but for whatever genetic reasons, I tend to be low in vitamin D. And that is it for the first two vitamins.